Namaskar. Hello, everybody. Jai Hind, Ram Ram to everybody. And let me start with this is a modernist poem written by T.S. Eliot, that is The Wasteland. And I'll be reading out line by line the poem, and will try to explain to you the meaning, actual meaning of this poem. And it's a live video. So first of all, let us see how many of you are present, because I told you that I'll be uh, here at 8 o'clock, and I think I'm not late. In the morning, I was a bit late. So show your presence. You can write hello also. And those who are watching me right now can push the button, thumbs up button. Let me start, because I can't wait. First of all, that if I teach this poem from post-graduation students' point of view, or suppose I teach this poem from net students' point of view, it is one in the same thing, because we cannot avoid this poem. We cannot say, like, attending a video session of 10 minutes, or say 15 minutes, or say half an hour will not be sufficient, because I consider that, as you all know, that almost in every second exam they give us a question from this poem. I'm talking about a net exam, and if those students who are watching me, or next after completing this live stream, suppose the students will watch me for further studying of this Wasteland, then I have decided to teach you some, in the beginning, the basic things which are important to understand this poem. I say hello to everybody who are coming and joining us. I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Mukesh Parekh, and I have qualified my NET exam for 14 times. I have qualified my GRF exam for 3 times. I am double MPhil in English literature as well as in English language teaching. And I have been running my own institute for last 20 years in Jaipur. And you can visit my website, www.mukeshparekh.com. And there is another website, www.englishcosmos.org. And you can, my blog, you can search after going to my websites. Now I come to the point. What is Wasteland? Actually, as per the title is concerned, it is a modern poem. It is divided into 5 sections. And these 5 sections have separate titles. It is said that when T.S. Eliot, he was in Switzerland, and when he wrote this poem, he also wrote a kind of prelude poem, Geontion, and then he considered that the famous modernist poet, imagist Ezra Pound. He went to Ezra Pound, and he showed that poem to him. But Ezra Pound, it is said that he edited the poem, and he used the techniques of imagism. Those who are not aware about imagism, let me tell them that imagism is a kind of modernist technique of writing poem, in which the poets use the economy of words. Economy of words mean to say that they want to write minimum number of words, and maximum expressions and more symbolism is included in that kind of poetry. So all the kind of linking things and extra material which T.S. Eliot wrote to explain the theme of the poem, Ezra Pound edited that. And it is said that the poem was so curtailed, it was so shortened, that it reduced to 1/4 of its present form, 1/4 of the original form. And today the poem we have right now is it is said that it is 1/4 of the original poem. So this is about the history. Now, second important point, that the Wasteland actually is an eclectic poem. Eclectic poem mean to say that the writer has included in it different mythologies, different quotations, different allusions, And suppose, and it's because this lecture will be going to be meaningful for those students who are appearing in post graduation also. Hello, everybody. So, how to understand Wasteland? I don't consider the poem is easy to understand, but without help of the allusions or the kind of quotations which the writer has given in the poem, if you understand the background of these allusions, then it will be easier for you to understand this poem. Okay. So let me talk about that. What technique writer has used to write this poem? Ayub ji, hello. Okay. Let me tell you one thing. Suppose you cut so many photographs. Suppose you cut so many different photographs on a particular theme, and then you join those photographs on a cardboard or say on a board or on any platform. You just paste them. Don't you think? Don't you think that there will be a collage? Collage is it's a very common word. You all understand it. Collage means a kind of painting where different pictures are pasted there or associated, or they are collected together on a particular place, and then a different meaning comes out of it. So you can call this poem a collage, a big collage. Now, on what theme the writer has written this poem and why the title is The Wasteland? Very simple. As you all know that, let me talk about some biographical detail of this poet. As you all know that T.S. Eliot, he had gone to Switzerland because this poem was written in Switzerland. And let me exactly tell you like where the poem was written. It is said that it was written in 1921 in Lausanne, Lausanne, Switzerland. And the poem is divided into 5 sections. It has around 440 lines. And the 5 sections are the burial of the dead, a game of chess, the fire sermon, death by water, and what the thunder said. These are, the 5 sections. It's around 440. Exact lines are, if you don't count, the starting 2 lines of dedication, or say where the writer has written 1 or 2 lines for the dedication to Ezra Pound. Exactly, there are 438 lines. Now, what is the theme of the poem? The theme is the degeneration of the modern man. Personal life was under turmoil. T.S. Eliot's wife was hospitalized, and later on she died. And so there was some problem between the relationship of husband-wife. So, and as you all know that T.S. Eliot was a banker also. And so he was under the burden of, overburdened with work. So he was kind of, taking rest there in Lausanne and in Switzerland. So there he was reading 2 books. Let me give you the names of these 2 books, which are very, very important. That one is Jesse Weston's book. Jesse, Jessie, Jesse and Weston. Jesse Weston's book From Ritual to Romance. That was the one book. And the second book is James Fraser's famous book, The Golden Bough. Bough, Golden Bough. These 2 books he was reading, and then out of these 2 books, he got to know different ideas about. There are 2 particular ideas. As you all know that the 2 books I have taught, Golden Bough and From Ritual to Romance. From these 2 books, the writer got the ideas of fertility myth, and second is the story of the Fisher King. If you don't understand the preliminary lecture on this poem, I cannot teach you this poem without understanding. If you don't understand this theme, that the one was From Ritual to Romance, and the second book was one was From Ritual to Romance, and other one was I forgot the name. It was The Golden Bough. Yeah. So through these 2 books, the writer got to know about 2 different kind of mythologies, and he incorporated those mythologies in the poems, or those anecdotes, or those stories. Number 1. Number 2, the writer T.S. Eliot wants to talk about the moral and spiritual decay of the modern man. As you know that T.S. Eliot was from America. He was a Protestant, but when he came to England, he took the citizenship of England, and he became Anglo-Catholic. It means because as in my earlier lecture, somewhere I told you that Catholicism is the original Christianity. So this writer is somewhere, he felt that America is a country where people in the, they are running after material wealth, and because they are running after material wealth, and though he was from America, but he noticed it in throughout the Europe, because the writer was writing in the modern age. And when we see a writer, when we see the modern age from a writer's perspective, from a writer's point of view, then we see that the most of the people, they started running after sensual pleasure, material wealth. And it is considered that this writer consider, because when we read a writer, we should be aware about his religious faiths, his influences under whom he was educated. If you read it properly, then you will come to know that T.S. Eliot was a disciple of John Santayana, and John Santayana was a kind of neo-humanist. So if I talk about these greater writers, then you will be confused. So let me make it very easier to understand for you people, that this poem is written under the pressure of the spiritual crisis which writer felt on behalf of the people of his country, or Europe, or say America, where he considered that the whole Europe, which was a civilization, or which was the center of religious faith, has somewhere lost into, or has converted itself into a kind of wasteland. This is one idea. Second idea, that in this poem, if you want to understand it, not four lines are interrelated. After every four line, the image changes. I try to elaborate this idea. As you see that most of the poets, when they write a poem, there is a coherence in the poem. Coherence in the sense that when the writer wants to write something, he tries to link the things. But you will find that this poem is considered to be a kind of fragment. It is considered that the poem has, even T.S. Eliot understood it, and he supplied with footnotes when it was published. This poem was not published in one go. It was published in installments, and it was published in the magazine Criterion, the Criterion. It was written in 1921 and it was published in November 1922. And let me talk about the epigram. If you have the poem with you, let me talk about the epigraph. The epigraph of the poem I have right now, in which there is an epigraph, Il Miglior Fabbro. This is an Italian language in which the writer wants to convey. He has dedicated this poem to Ezra Pound. You should understand, you should remember this. And Il Miglior Fabbro means the greater craftsman. This is an Italian language. And so far I have talked about so many things. Now let me talk about two particular threads of the poem. Threads in the sense that the writer has talked about one Holy Grail legend. In this poem, the writer has started by, suppose you understand, suppose you are a Christian and you understand the importance of the Last Supper. How many of you are aware about Last Supper? Tell me. Last Supper. Anybody who knows can answer this question. That there is a reference of the Last Supper, then the Fisher King. So the two medieval, one is Christian legend and another one is the medieval legend, and the writer has merged two legends to understand this. If you want to understand this poem, you should be aware about these two things. Okay, so I'm not getting any answer from your side, so let me tell you then. Holy Grail means a kind of saucer, a kind of plate, in which Christ had, before crucifixion, Christ had his Last Supper in that plate, in that grail. And there is a myth that just exactly after the crucifixion, in that plate, the blood of Christ was accumulated or collected. So that grail, or say that saucer, or say that plate, got miraculous powers, miracles. That we all understand, that if something or some flower or some stone has been touched by a saint, then it becomes, quite pious, religious, sacred, and it gets miraculous qualities. The same thing happened. It is considered that the saucer or the plate in which the grail in which Christ's blood was collected when he was crucified, so that after his death, it was considered that this plate or this grail has miraculous powers. And the lance means, अगर मैं हिंदी में बोलूँ तो भाला, kind of, a big lance means a kind of a long weapon which is pointed and quite sharp, in the with which, the Christ was pierced, his sides were pierced. That also got the miraculous powers. And there is a story that in the medieval times there is a whole myth of this there was a king, King Arthur, and when he came to the throne, he set forth his army. There were 12 knights, particular knights or soldiers. These knights started searching for that grail. मैं थोड़ा सा हिंदी भी बोलता हूँ, जो बच्चे इसको नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं, कि क्राइस्ट को जिस भाले से मारा गया और जिस प्याले में उनका ब्लड अक्यूमुलेट किया, कलेक्ट किया, उनमें मिरेकुलस क्वालिटीज मानी जाती थी. और in the medieval ages it was a kind of custom. Chapels यानी छोटे छोटे मंदिर बना दिए गए, और in one of the chapels there this grail and lance was placed उसकी पूजा करने के लिए. बट एक बार क्या हुआ कि सरप्राइजिंगली एंड मिस्टीरियसली वो जो ग्रेल है वो चोरी हो गया. इट वाज स्टोलन बाय समबडी. तो उसकी खोज के लिए किंग आर्थर सेट फोर्थ द राउंड टेबल. राउंड टेबल का मतलब क्या होता है? द 12 नाइट्स वो एक जगह बैठते हैं, इसलिए उसको राउंड टेबल बोल देते हैं. बट टुडे राउंड टेबल हैज बिकम अ वर्ड इन द लेक्सिकॉन ऑफ इंग्लिश, इन द डिक्शनरी ऑफ इंग्लिश, वेयर वी अंडरस्टैंड. Hello, good evening. We understand by the word round table means all the gathering of these 12 knights. And King Arthur is considered to be the most holy, most righteous king of England, because then it is also said that he was a mythical king, and might be he was not a real king. So but it is a story, and almost every poet laureate writes about King Arthur. तो किंग आर्थर ने क्या किया? अपने 12 सैनिकों को उस होली ग्रेल की खोज में भेजा. ओके. और अब एक ग्रेल के अंदर की बात है दैट देयर वाज पार्सिफल नाम का एक सर पार्सिफल उनका नाम है. ही वाज अ नाइट एंड ही वाज सर्चिंग फॉर दैट ग्रेल, और उनको एक जगह वो मिल गया. ऐसे करके एक कहानी है. ओके, दिस इज वन थ्रेड ऑफ द whole poem. Second thread is that Fisher King की कहानी. Now, what is the Fisher King's story? That there was a king, and he became impotent. Impotent mean to say he was unable to perform the sexual act. और उसको श्राप लगा था because जिस चैपल पेरिलस का एक रेफरेंस आता है इसके अंदर कि भाई जिस चर्च को संभालने की जिम्मेदारी उसको दी गई थी उस नाइट को, he was also a knight, and he raped some of the nuns of that chapel. तो उनको ये श्राप मिला कि वो हो जाएंगे impotent हो जाएंगे. He won't be able to okay, because I have to be a bit in the I want to bring some of my students in the comfort zone, so I'm translating in between. Okay, I'll keep in mind that you don't understand Hindi. Okay, so what I was talking about that this Sir Parsifal, he was cursed with impotency, and when this he was in the waiting that when the miraculous or say the grail or the land miraculous powers will be searched, and when the knights will come here, when everybody will come here, when the knight will come here, my curse will be removed. So on one hand, on the second thread of the poem is about the Fisher King. He is a symbol of the degenerated man who has brought curses upon him because of his sexual act. Now, what is the meaning of these two myths? First is that religion has or the spirituality has the power to revive you. First thing. Second thing, that your sex or your sexual activities If they go beyond limit, they can destroy you, they can make you impotent. Impotency means wasteland. Now let me talk about the another aspect of this poem. So far I have not come to the text, I'm simply explaining to you the exact background of the poem. And second thing is that nature. This poem is also talking about the man who is away from nature. Nature has two meanings in this poem. One meaning the vegetative nature, because the writer has shown snow-clad atmosphere, or say the yeah. So stony rush means, the writer has literally. So the writer has literally shown to us the um, real way as the concept of the rape is also associated with the Fisher King. So the writer has shown that, because the theme of rape will be as a motive covering the whole poem. Motive I explained in earlier lectures, the kind of a pattern in a poem or in a novel which is recurring in the poem. So what is this poem all about? This poem is all about that lack of love, lack of spirituality. Your become aloof from nature. You don't pay attention to nature. Uh, don't pay attention to spirituality. All these things are responsible to create a kind of wasteland. But why the writer is not talking in a very direct manner? Why he has created all such complicated myths and allusions and all? So I have an answer for that. You should know that T.S. Eliot wrote 4 preludes in the beginning of his career, and another poem, the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. It is considered that that poem, in one of my lectures I will also teach you that poem. The love song of J. Alfred Prufrock is considered to be, and the 4 preludes he wrote, small size poems. These are considered to be the experiments or workshop for the poem Wasteland. Why? Because the writer has experimented under the influence of French symbolism. When I talk about symbol, because we are dealing with the most complicated poem in the history of English literature, that is the Wasteland. And how can a teacher be can justify with his lecture while he or she is teaching this poem? By simply preparing his student's mind, so that you can understand the coming images in the poem. So symbolism is the major technique in this poem through which you can understand this poem. What symbols are, what because symbols have been a recurrent part and parcel of English poetry, or say any poetry, any literature anywhere in the world. Then what is special with symbolism here? I'm talking about symbolism of France, which was say a kind of revolt against naturalism. In France, realistic fiction, or say realistic poetry, or naturalistic kind of fiction and poetry was in fashion. And then Mallarmé, Lafargue, there are 2-3 names coming to my mind. These symbolists they influenced T.S. Eliot. And what is a symbol? Symbol is a kind of sign, or it can be a thing, it can be a word which can evoke in you different meanings, sensations, by looking at them. For example, in the background of me, you can see Radha and Krishna. The 2 statues are there, 2 idols are there. And so I decided to make my video in this corner of my house. So somewhere this becomes a symbolism, like what kind of, you can have an idea of my nature, my personality, by looking at these 2 idols. So even the colors of the cushions can give you an idea. My long side steps can give you an idea about my personality. So anything can be a symbol. It can be a word, it can be a color, it can be image, anything. So they are evocative. So multi is present there. And then let me talk about quotations writer has used. The writer T.S. Eliot has wanted to given this poem a timelessness, and how he has performed this act. Here also I have to talk to you. When this poem was written, suppose, as you know, that this is poem, the writer has character from Tiresias from Greek drama, Oedipus Rex. Oedipus Rex is a drama in Greek literature, and in that literature there is a prophet, blind prophet. Low supply of the internet, I think. Problem. So I will keep this video bit short today. We will not move with the text. Let me continue until I say goodbye to you. Ajit Singh, you're not getting. Okay, let me try again. Any poet, when he wants to talk about whatever he wants to say, he also hello. Are you listening to me now? Yeah. So any poet who wants to say something, he creates, as I told you, that this poem is a whole bundle of fragmented images. Fragmented images mean to say, as I told you, that it is a collage. Suppose I want to become more easy for your understanding, that every 4 line creates a different image, and then the writer starts creating another image, and there is no connection between the 2 images. So if you read this poem, you will find that these images have as such no meaning in themselves, but when you start linking them under the guidance of any teacher, you start creating a meaning that what the writer wants to convey, and then in those lines there are certain images are there, and through those images on the you can get out the exact symbolic meaning of those images. Yeah. Okay, so what I was talking about, okay, this is not the complete it started buffering again. As I'm helpless because there is internet problem, I think, in my area today because of the cloudy weather. Am I visible now? Is it buffering? Okay. So I have spoken about so many things, but still I have to speak a lot much because I have not talked about the concept of tarot pack. Yeah, network problem. Am I visible now? Can you hear me? Tarot pack. How many of you are aware about problem? Network problem. Gone again.
इसमें से नेट बंद करते
Done. Yes. Am I audible now? So with this, okay. Okay, then let us start the poem now. With this, these so many different things. One more thing I would like to tell you, that T.S. Eliot was a PhD in Jacobean drama, and those who are not aware about what is the exact theme and say material cruelty, a drama of extramarital affairs. So he was PhD in Jacobean drama. Who? T.S. Eliot. So the writer has taken a lot much material. Let us do one thing. We end the session here because of this internet problem, and I will come live in the morning at 10 o'clock. Then we will start reading the poem. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? So I'll see you in the morning at 10 o'clock. And meanwhile, suppose I upload this video, you can just watch it again and can get whatever things I have told you. Sorry for the disturbance you people have got. Thank you.